Welcome to this series of podcasts on corporate digital responsibility. Corporate digital responsibility outlines a set of responsibilities that an organisation must consider in helping achieve a better balance of the utilisation of digital technologies for the benefit of all in society. It is a recognition that organisations driving forward the advancement of technology and those that leverage technology to engage and provide services to the citizen have a responsibility to do so in a manner that is fundamentally leading us towards a positive future for all. Welcome to episode 1, where we'll start to look at the evolving relationship between corporate digital responsibility and digital ethics. Exploring CDR and Digital Ethics by Rob Price. The more I look at corporate digital responsibility and digital ethics, the more I realise that those who are writing and speaking about CDR and digital ethics are meaning slightly different things. There is not yet an agreed definition. There is a common core, absolutely, but definite nuance around the edge. I'm reminded of the debate around digital itself around 2014. Working with the Management Consulting Association, the MCA, and the consulting industry, we defined digital as not a marketing campaign, a website or a mobile device, not ones and zeros or about getting rid of paper. It is the collective mindset of a connected world, a culture, an expectation of immediacy of service and access to information as we have become accustomed with the arrival of ubiquitous connectivity. The point was that digital really covered everything, and indeed that digitalisation was the transformation of what had been before to what was now. Digitisation is about data, part of digitalisation, but a subset. And digital was the mindset, one of flexibility, adaptability, pace and change. Now, more than ever, these are critical for all organisations, as we have seen with the much talked about acceleration of digital through the pandemic. So let's start with digital ethics. I like the point made by Charlotte de Broglie in her article on digital ethics. The education of digital thinkers and creators, mathematicians, engineers, computer scientists and so on rarely addresses the ethical issues that facing these digital actors, nor their responsibilities. Instead, they are presented with a utilitarian and short-term vision of the digital domain that takes little account of the broader social, economic and cultural background against which digital innovation is happening, nor of its impacts. She goes on to say that solutions shouldn't be about slowing the momentum of innovation, but there should be an ethical consideration of the impact of society as part of that process. I think the key question is, do you believe that digital ethics equates a consideration of all things digital, as above, or more simplified to ethical practices around data and AI, which of course is fed by data? For example, the UK government has focused strongly on digital ethics in the context of data ethics and AI ethics, but relatively little that I can see in terms of broader digital ethics, for example, in consideration of other technologies such as quantum or crypto blockchain. This isn't bad, of course, it's just illustrative of where the current focus is. There are signs that this is changing. Take Market View wrote in their report on Sopra Steria's digital ethics practice, when in talking about the recent shift from an academic beginning, they state, BT, for example, has a tech for good practice, PwC has an AI for good lead, and Microsoft has a range of programs, for example, Tech for Good, AI for Good, Tech for Social Impact, Tech for Health, etc. And then move on to say that Sopra Steria has moved its thinking on and its approach looks more joined up than many other suppliers, acknowledging that it is about more than the technology and that the boundaries between technologies are blurred, so it's not sensible to focus on a single area in isolation. That for me is the key point. It is absolutely about the data and it is absolutely about AI, but it is also about all those digital technologies that impact on citizens and societal communities. We should have guides and frameworks that sense check and question how we can build and deliver products and services that have conscious and desired impacts rather than undesirable and unintended consequences. The big question is whether those frameworks should be voluntary because organisations can clearly see the benefit in adopting, or whether, like data protection with GDPR, they need to be, in part or whole, mandated through regulation and compliance. Corporate digital responsibility builds further on digital ethics, but again, as it is an emergent area, there is variability in the definitions. In work that Oliver Merckx has done in Germany, looking at the intersection of CDR and CSR, he had a number of aspects of digital ethics in addition to compliance, regulation, law, and new economic models. This is a common theme, also emphasised by the German Association for the Digital Economy, BVDW, in their work creating a CDR building blocks framework. CDR covers the voluntary contribution of industry to ethical and sustainable digital development. This objective goes beyond simply meeting existing legal requirements, they say. This is especially interesting in driving a national level common definition of CDR that can be adopted by both government and corporate business to guide and measure the effectiveness of their actions. Others look at CDR, in addition to the above, with emphasising the sustainability and environmental perspective. Dr. Saskia Dor describing in her CDR framework book, CDR refers on one hand to the consideration of digital sustainability and on the other hand to the consideration of social, economic and ecological effects of digital corporate actions in the world. A key element in this conversation is the use of digital technologies in addressing major global environmental and sustainability challenges, climate change amongst them. In my previous work on CDR in Worldline, together with Christopher Joinson in Atos, we defined CDR with 8 core elements which, whilst we did not explicitly spell out digital ethics, covered elements which would be now seen as such, for example, unbiased AI, data ownership, digital well-being. In common with other CDR definitions put forward subsequently by organisations such as Deloitte and PwC, we also highlighted the impact on the economy, sustainable automation, and society, for example, digital influence. And whilst we didn't explicitly call out the environmental sustainability angle in the model, we did raise the profile of the argument for the 18th Sustainable Development Goal as being digitalisation. All of these definitions have a common core and common goal, that being to ensure that organisations and governments can utilise digital technologies to deliver products and services that have positive impacts on the planet and society as a whole. I remember presenting CDR at the CAMS conference in London in 2018, and an audience member said that he could see it would become a key criteria for investment decisions, albeit not at that time. It is interesting to see that the time would appear to be now, as I read an article in regard to the recent Ethos CDR event in Switzerland. The digitalisation of the economy is one of the major societal challenges of the beginning of the 21st century, along with climate change and growing inequalities, said Vincent Kaufmann, CEO of the Ethos Foundation. In view of its impact on society as a whole, we consider that the digital responsibility of companies is now an integral part of good governance and of the environmental, social and governance criteria that responsible investors must take into account in their investment decisions. Digital ethics is about data and AI, but I do strongly suggest it is more. Corporate digital responsibility is about digital ethics, but it is also a guide to how organisations can play their part in driving for positive societal outcomes for all, and for us as technologists to make our contribution to a sustainable future. Thank you for listening to this podcast, the first in the series for corporate digital responsibility. If you're interested to hear more or see more, please go to our website corporatedigitalresponsibility.co.uk. Thank you.